Counting in fractions is a very useful way of teaching the younger learners about fractions and how fractions mounts up to a bigger amount. And so, one of the exercises that I advise people to do with their younger learners is to count in different amounts of fractions. Counting in thirds, counting in fifths, counting in sevenths, tenths, and so here we're going to just talk about a simple way of introducing fractions to a younger learner and starting showing them how that would mount up to bigger amounts. So I normally use a bar of chocolate. A bar of chocolate is much easier to divide into pieces, and so so you would show them that you cut a bar of chocolate, say, into three pieces, and when you cut it into three pieces, then every one of those pieces will then have a new name. So this whole bar has a name, which we call it a one bar, and these little pieces will have a new name, and its name is a third. Now I've already cut the chocolate into three pieces. So every one of these pieces, it's called a third. So that's a third, and this one next to him is also a third, and next one to him, that one is also a third. Yeah, and then we can count in thirds. So so normally, so if I take us down to a number line, which is very useful way of showing learners to see values adding up to bigger amounts, is number line. And it also helps them remember it. And if you want to then show them adding and subtracting and things like that, the number line would be a nice reference point. But really here, I'm only using the number line to show them how counting in thirds are done. So number lines will have milestones that they are used to. So 0, and then 1, and 2, and 3, and so on. So they're used to this. So now we're going to introduce fractions to them. So I'm just going to bring the fractions, the third, in. So adjusted in a way that it will sit here next to so something like that, for example. Yeah, and I can maybe stick it in, move it across, and so on. So I'll use that later. So you will help them by counting like this. So you will go okay, we have 1/3 here. We have 1/3 here. So that's that amount there, and then that would be another 1/3. So that would count up to 2/3, and then we will arrive at the whole thing. This is 3/3, but we don't write 3/3, although that is 3 of these thirds, which makes it 3/3. But we don't write it at 3/3. We write it as 1/1. Yeah, so that's 1/1, and then you will have more of these thirds. So there would be another 1/3 adding on top of the 1. So this is another 1/3 adding on top. So here you will have a 1/1, which you already have 1/1, and this extra third onto it. And this then would be 1/1, which we already have 1/1, and 2/3. And then another third, which will then be another complete whole ones on top of the previous whole one, which make 2. Now that's really, if you count it, that's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3. This is 6/3. So really, a 6/3 is in reality a whole two complete bar of chocolate. And it carries on. So then after 2, you would have 2 and 1/3. You will have 2 and 2/3, and then you will have 3 whole 1. And it just carries on really, and you have to play with them. You have to play with this idea and counting with your younger learner. So 1/3, 2/3, 1 whole 1, 1 and 1/3. Practice the actual sound of this, because this is a mixed fraction. It's a mixed number. So 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, then 2 whole 1. And sometimes count back, so start from 3 and then go back 1/3 until this picture of the number line, it's easy for them to maintain. Once they can maintain this picture and they know the milestones that they arrive at, then adding in thirds and taking away in thirds become easy. So one of the exercises that, for example, you can do with them is maybe to add a 2/3 to another 2/3. Now they should be able to visualize that will pass the milestone of 1, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, passes the milestone on 1. So that would be 1 whole 1 and 1/3.